The cafeteria buzzed with activity, as my fellow Maragantist soldiers happily munched away at our food rations. The rations were okay, I suppose, but what everyone was really after was the afters. A fresh shipment of a new kind of cake or biscuit was handed over to us in new trade negotiations with the humans. They called them Debbie cakes. They were a tasty little confection with some minor modifications for our species, in terms of recipe, but they are absolutely scrumptious. I was standing in line with my fellow riflemen, my feet pattering on the floor in anticipation as I saw them. Little brown things the size of a brood egg, roughly log-shaped and with a thin coating of human chocolate and tasty spongy cake. The real kicker that made us all go crazy over it, though, was the creamy filling. It drove us mad with how tasty it was. We had no idea why. I asked the chef once. She said it had something to do with the bacterial content in the cream causing a mild euphoria. Did I understand what that meant? No. Didn't stop any of us from eating them, though. I got to the counter and smiled happily at the chef on duty, who handed me one such cake. It was all I or any one of us would get for the next month, so each of us treasured it since they started showing up. I almost broke rank with excitement, and had to force myself to calm down as I walked towards my fellows at the table. As usual, I was the last to arrive before everyone could eat properly. Manners, after all. After I sat down, we bowed our heads in thanks, and began to eat one of the most delicious treats we ever tasted. It was only once a month, so I took my sweet time. Loxon wolfed it down, washing it down with a regiment-approved bottle of Galaxin beer. Inkar and Vinkar, the twins, sucked the cream out of it, completely, before scarfing the sponge down. While more refined palates like Condi and Valar prefer to painstakingly strip the sponge off and section it into bits, then eat it part by part. I, however, prefer to deeply savour my cake and treasured every single bite. I would very slowly sniff at it, memorising all of its sweet, beautiful aromas, and listening to the strange noises it made when I squeezed it. Then I would slowly take a big bite, slowly chewing on it, so I could savour every single morsel I could. The memory of this delicious moment would last me at least until next month. My first bite, however, was interrupted. We all jumped to attention as Lord Commander Maxus Pran suddenly appeared next to us, face bright red with rage. "What is this?" he bellowed angrily as we saluted him. "Pardon, my Lord Commander?" Loxon asked. "It's treason is what this is," he barked aloud, now drawing the ire of the officers' table. All of us shuddered in terror. Treason? We were just eating lunch. "Treason, my lord?" I said weakly. "Yes, treason. How has this filthy wretch not been executed yet?" he screamed out and pointed at me. "Me? Well, I was just eating our Not you, idiot! Him!" he barked again, pointing at the half-eaten cake on my plate. All of us blinked in surprise and wondered what the hell was going on. "You thought you could get away with this, didn't you? You thought you could escape justice?" It was at this point our regiment's commissar, Sorrenti, walked up and was now holding his head in his hands out of embarrassment. "Lord Maxus, are we seriously doing this again?" "Don't speak in that tone to me, boy. You saw what he did. You saw. And you all saw." Maxus was now raving mad. I could see the sheer hatred in his eyes. Commissar Sorrenti rolled his eyes in annoyance and stood at the end of our table. "You forgot to take your medication again, didn't you?" "How can I take my medication when there are traitors in our midst? I have no time for your piffling tonics," he barked, drawing his sword. The commissar rolled his eyes and looked at us all. He got his staff out and smacked it on the table 3 times. "I hereby call this council to order. You, snack cake, stand charged with high treason. How'd you plead?" All of us were now very much baffled, but wanting this to end, went along with it. I reached down with my hand and with as much subtlety as I could muster, squeaked in a quirky voice while making the cake move, as if it were talking. "Guilty!" I sheepishly pulled my hand away and smiled, hoping that the crazy soldier wouldn't notice. The commissar took the momentum I just gave him and ran with it. Aha! Guilty by his own admission. Corporal, he looked at me. He is sentenced to death. Carry out the sentence. By your order, my lord. I saluted him back, grabbed the cake, and wolfed it down as fast as I could. Justice is served, Lord Maxus screamed in a high-pitched whine as he saluted us, then promptly left for the officers' lounge. He didn't make it that far, and was intercepted by a medical team, who offered him an officer's wine glass, likely laced with his medication. I looked quizzically and with concern as my commissar held his head in his hands. What in the mother's tits was that shit? Condi asked, as he sat back down in his seat. The commissar sighed. The poor commander was on the receiving end of human ire during our last battle. I was not informed of the exact details, but apparently there was a human on our world many months ago. He apparently charged our lines during the pre-battle, dodged and weaved our entire defense without taking any hits. After that, he pounced on the commander and screamed something at him. I heard rumors that, out of spite, the human slapped him with a cupcake of some kind, then charged back over the line, back to the Serengantis camp. We all looked at each other in disbelief. After this encounter, the commander had disappeared. We called a truce and searched for him. He broke the lines and was found in one of the bunkers wrapped in a bedsheet, attempting to court-martial a box of rations. Whatever that human did, it traumatized him to no end. The commissar said, sitting on the bench with us. Forgive my impertinence, my commissar, but is the Lord Commander still fit for service? That was a bit excessive, Vinkar said. Oh yes, he's still very much fit for service, especially after he's had his meds. It's just what do the humans call it? A nervous tick, I think. As long as he's on his meds, he's the best we have. Loyal to the core, brilliant tactician. We just have to keep him away from snack cakes. For some reason. Anyway, the commissar stood up and saluted us. Carry on, gentlemen. See you on the line for drills tomorrow. We all looked at each other for a moment. The same question suddenly passed between us. A human did that. A human had a short encounter with a grizzled war veteran and turned him into a lunatic that court-martialed foodstuffs. We all said a silent prayer in unison, asking whatever gods existed that we would never face a human in battle, so long as we lived.